In a confidential meeting inside the vast military intelligence complex in Moscow, several high-ranking officers have presented Chief of Army Generalfeldmarschall Wrangel with a comprehensive set of plans chosen for the Western Front. The Russian armed forces are lacking in many ways, and not all of them can be rectified before the inevitable outbreak of hostilities. The Intelligence Department of the Ministry of Interior expects war with the Reichspakt before the end of 1940, but no later than 1941, due to increased internal pressure on Germany to restore its status as the leading power in the world after the Black Monday catastrophe, a resurgent Russia which is leading a process of economic decoupling, and revolutionary fervor in France and Britain, which are pursuing an aggressive policy of encirclement in the West. Production reports show that the Russian industry is still far behind its rivals, despite the efforts of the recent years to reform it. Hence, expectations are that material will be scarce in the first month of the war, which forces a defensive stance. In that manner, the front lines are woefully underprepared. Rapid construction of fortifications need to be undertaken urgently, but foreign intelligence warns that such a move will inevitably show the enemy that Russia is preparing for armed conflict. The General Staff is still reeling from the post-Kornilov purges and needs to be streamlined under a unified military high command. Foreign intelligence bemoans the state of its operatives, severe lack of staffing and investment in modern practices, and highlights the importance of building behind-the-lines networks for any kind of offensive operations. At present, they will at best be able to conduct counterintelligence operations in the motherland. The armed forces themselves are, to a vast majority, based on infantry divisions, but the current conscription model puts a severe cap on the availability of recruits and must be urgently reformed. The army lacks modern equipment, the BT-7 tanks have shown to become obsolete, and the Air Force is rudimentary at best and will not be able to effectively counter the Reichspakt's vastly superior number and quality of aircraft. Wrangel, together with the political leadership and His Imperial Majesty Tsar Vladimir, will have to prioritize where to allocate scarce resources, as the time to prepare is rapidly running out. Russia is going to have to make some decisions, because there are many things that we need and only limited time to get there. One of the biggest problems at this point is manpower. We are going to need to get off the volunteer recruitment. So I think given the time frame, we're now in February 1939, I think one of the most urgent tasks is going to be to change the conscription law such that we can, we still got 45,000 men in garrisons, but yeah, that needs to change. We need to get off volunteer, and I don't think there is anything here that is going to fix that for us. No. It would have been the maintain a strong executive, but we've done that exclusively with the separation of powers. So that is not happening, which means we are going to have to pay the full 150 political power to make this happen. We do need to fill up our military command. Fortunately, some of the people there are reasonably cheap. But ideally would have liked to get some people in. Liked to get some people in who are actually generals. So we'll have to see who we get in there. I think I would like to have the. I would really like to have the firepower proponent theorist, but it may have to wait until after we're done with the conscription laws. And I would really like to bring in some political advisors, because we actually have a discount here. And the problem obviously being that conscription is at this point actually hampering our recruitment. We're still far below the division limit. So I think conscription will have to happen first, as unfortunate as it is, because it's sort of a zero-sum thing, and because we're not going to gain any more political power due to the change. We also need to get out of early mobilization into partial mobilization, and eventually even into war economy. So there's a fair amount of things we need to do. On the focus tree front, I think we are going to. We have a few things that still need to happen that still needs to sort of happen with on the home front, because we have we've got strengthening democracy. That in order to get away from that, we would need we still need 180 days, and then we would get the stable democracy if we get to the self-defense of democracy. The problem is that needs the democratic curriculum, which we need to do first, which is going to anger the right wing, but it also it also helps a little bit with other things. Although these are two 42-day focuses, but that I feel like that needs to happen, even just for the political power gain. We do have, somebody pointed out that we do have actually the Rus system, which would get us radar stations, which are kind of important, but at the same time we don't have an air force to speak of. So that's good, but currently not quite as useful. We have the Wrangel line, which absolutely needs to happen. To build the fortification lines. We also have we're completing the bandit states. We potentially have some really good things out of, let's say, the Moscow Economic Council. We have to get the fifth columnist underway, so that would be more of an intelligence approach, because we can't do that after the war begins. But these decisions are probably going to cost political power again. And for that, we do need to do Operation Yekaterina. Fortunately, these are relatively cheap, so we can do these. The American Ice March would be pretty good, because it adds the attaché to the Americas. So that's one we can do as well. And it unlocks the potential of getting a renewed American trade, which would be, now that I think we're starting to win the American Civil War, which would absolutely be massive in terms of consumer goods factories. So there's another two relatively short things we can do. We do need to fix the rubber production in order to actually build an air force. And we actually have to do a lot of the army focuses as well. There's the war of motors, which is going to get us two free military factories. But I think we're going to get the Wrangel line underway, just so we can see what else needs to be done in terms of frontline preparation, because the supply network is vastly underpowered at this point, and especially in the north. And that needs to railway needs to be constructed. So for that, we could actually get an industrial concern, but that would cost 150 political power, which we don't have. So the whole convert Russia into a democratic empire has absolutely been costly in terms of how far we are in terms of war preparations. So all of this needs to happen, and we also still need to finish getting the stranglehold of German capital down. That said, I think there was a focus. There was this focus that was reducing that strangle. If I can actually type. No, I might have misread that. I thought there was a focus which was going to reduce that, but maybe it's this one. German economic influence is called. So economic influence. So this will not do so, but I think this one, the state export companies will actually reduce the German economic influence as well. So that would be an option. But again, that's 42 days, and we have a very limited amount of time to actually make these things. So we'll see what we do in a day or so when this time's out. But we do need to start preparing the front lines in the West, potentially against the Ottomans, although we are actually making some good progress now against with supporting the rebellion. So if we can secure the southern flank here, then that would actually be reasonably important. In China, we're simply defending at this point. These troops are just digging in. They're fully entrenched as much as they possibly can, and they are just defending the territory. And in the States, the American Union is, I think, last time I'm not sure if they're actually making progress, but the syndicates have definitely pushed south and have retaken Little Rock, and are somewhat threatening friendly territory in the south. So reducing the salient in the north, and then we're going to have to work our way through the problem that is supply in the region. So obviously Kansas City, this part in the south, and St. Louis need to be taken in order to move anywhere forward. So I think the next approaches then will be south towards, like once we've cut them off here, we'll move south towards Kansas City, retake the supply positions here, and then move east towards taking St. Louis, secure the line between St. Louis, Nashville, and Des Moines, and then see that we can swing our operations further north again and try to retake Chicago, because it looks like a lot of troops here are engaged at the northern flank, and even Milwaukee might be falling, so that we're getting pushed back a lot in the north. But we'll need to secure the St. Louis line to prevent a breakthrough of the syndicalists south towards New Orleans, and to cut the American Union state off from the Pacific states. So this war is not won yet, and we have a lot of things to do. Anyway, let's get to it. Right, first of all, in Italy, what is the air situation actually? Unfortunately, it doesn't show, but I think we'll probably be under yellow air. Maybe if I select one of them. No, it doesn't show yet. Often happens when I just freshly load into the game. So here we're trying to unsuccessfully enable German troops and Papal troops to march north across the border. And I don't actually know where the Sicilian troops are. Mostly seems to be Papal troops that are fighting here. There are a few Sicilian troops left, but not an awful lot. How many divisions do they actually still operate with? We know very little about them. So okay, not an awful lot that we can tell, but we are. Yeah, we're still trying to break this line here, and we'll just continuously run the assaults. So here we are breaking through with the tanks, and they will then swoop north, clear out the two encircled Red Guard divisions. In Egypt, we are reducing Turkish. These should be encircled by all intents and purposes, but this is once again one of these weird. I still don't know if this is a bug, or in my opinion, these should be encircled. I don't see why they're not encircled. But they're not getting the encirclement debuff. So this might be still a bug of some sort. But this makes it infinitely harder to reduce these troops here. So very irritating. And in this case, it's not even that there's like another country adjacent. They literally have nowhere to go, yet they still don't get the encirclement bonus or debuff. And they don't even get the supply out of supply debuff. So this is one of those things that happens. In Persia, we're pretty much just holding near Baghdad, but I don't think we'll have an easy way of getting into Baghdad. So these troops are at this point just planning. They'll be planning the operation for now, and then we'll see how that goes. So Egypt's cleaning up, which means we'll be focusing for now on the Pacific states, because I think that's one of the more important ones right now. How are we with the 30 days from the energy autarky law? So we're going to get that done, and then we'll see if we can break through here. These probably will escape south, so we may actually get 2 tank divisions to already pursue south towards Kansas City. So we're not losing the momentum here. All right, assimilation of the bandit states is done. Soon after we crushed the Red Menace, the opportunists in Turkestan decided to rise to opposition on our rule, committing many crimes against the population and our reputation. They have terrorized the region with their poor governance and vicious banditry for many years, and it's now time to bring them back into the fold. So we have, if we're scrolling all the way over here, that would be about it. So let's go to the resistance view. We have a relatively limited resistance, although this is ticking up again. I am not sure exactly from what. Is it garrisons? We should be having garrison. We should be having garrison fulfillments. We're at 100%. Okay. So we now switch to integration. Okay, so after the destruction of the Tashkent Soviet Republic at the hands of Atman Dutov's coalition of the Basmachi, the Orenburg army and the Fergana army, the revolution in Turkestan was finally extinguished a day after the new year of 1921. Turkestan and Alash autonomies were organized as federal parts of Russia, while the protectorates of Khiva and Bukhara were maintained as client states. The Turkestan autonomy existed between 1921 and 1929 until its de facto independence under President Madamin Bek following the New Year's coup. It had a similar legal framework as the Alash autonomy, with its own parliament, government, and elections. In practice, Madamin Bek remained as a dominant warlord of the autonomy after the Civil War, comparable in position to that of Lavra Kornilov in Russia itself. But now, Madamin Bek's revolt lays in ruins, and the territory of the former Republic of Turkestan is occupied by the Russian army. The question remains, should a reformed autonomy be created? I would argue that okay, so we've got two possible options. We could give them autonomy once again, which would cost us the factory, max factory in all of the states, reduce the recruitable population, but increase their compliance. Or we decide that no, the autonomy principle in the region isn't working, and we will integrate them into a multi-ethnic Russian state, which I am personally more in favor of, to be honest, because history, as you can see from the last decades, has shown that this doesn't work particularly well. So this would cost us 10 compliance and kick up the resistance by 25%. So let's have a look where we are now. We are at relatively low resistance, so that would get us quite a bit up. But we are currently using the integration law, which gets us core as soon as the state reaches between 50 and 80% compliance. Resistance decay speed, damage to garrisons reduced, required garrisons reduced, daily compliance gain pretty good. So that is even better than local autonomy. So that means I think we are anyway on the path to integration. Can we do this for Kazakhstan? No, actually we can't. So that's so this will just apply to the territories that can be integrated. All right, we're currently getting, it's a 14 million population there. So I think that would be quite, and 12 factories as well as a large number of resources. No, we're going for integration, which is going to obviously now tick up the resistance quite significantly. But the resistance targets are coming down, or the resistance will come down to the targets in due time. Now, has this unlocked any kind of decisions? I think these are new. I'm not sure. This or maybe these were there and I just haven't paid attention. But I don't see any additional decisions. Okay, so this is literally just a matter of getting the compliance up, and that's going to happen by itself. So resistance targets are around 20%, which is manageable, and compliance will need to tick up, which is now running as well. So this is happening, which means we're done for now. I think over here this would allow us to invade or invite Afghanistan. This would give us 40 political power. And we could invite the Persians. That might actually be of interest. So right now, Persia might be an interesting addition. But I think I'll see first how the war with the Ottomans is playing out before we do that, because we have urgent other things to do. So for now, we are going to construct the Wrangel line, simply because I want to see what other holes there are, and we do need the fortifications along the line to even stand a chance against the initial German onslaught. So right now, we don't know an awful lot about Germany, but we know that they've got somewhere between 2,000 and 4,000 aircraft in total, which sort of dwarfs the little air force that the Russian Empire has available. We have a pitiful, I think, we've got about 4 fighter wings. Can we create any more? Do we have available aircraft? We probably have a few. We've got a few interwar small airframes. So these are old planes. I mean, they can because it's a different. Okay, we remove that. We can use this as a training wing, I guess. But honestly, I think we'll let's not bother. We'll wait for new aircraft to actually become available. All right, that means we're now once again busy, and we are, how many days? 30 days away until we do the next German capital decision. Unless we are simply stopping that and using the one that, I think it was this one. Yeah, that reduces economic influence by 1 and 2. So these two decisions, that's a 49-day decision. And that would effectively gets us into state export company, which is good. That's political power gain and consumer goods factory, and switches us to free trade, where we're currently on export focus, I think, which is not necessarily where I want to be. But it does give us trade agreements, and it reduces the influence. And then we could follow that up with restricting foreign business, which is giving us 50 political power and will effectively eliminate the German economic influence and switch us to limited exports. So that would get us over here. Now the question is, do we want to be on export focus or limited exports? And that's probably a big question. So if we're looking at trade, we currently have a relatively large excess of goods. Aluminium is going to come down, but especially oil, I'm actually quite happy to run on trade. So this is interesting, but probably not going to go there, simply because it's I don't like to be on limited exports with a very much resource-driven economy. I think the negative impact is quite is too harsh. This is also interesting. 100 political power, but it annoys the left wing. It annoys the left. But that's something we could do just to get some political power in an emergency. But for now, we're doing the Wrangel line, all right. And which means we're probably going to continue on just using decisions to reduce the stranglehold of capital. Free trade. I do like the state export companies because it's political power gain and consumer goods. Free trade, I'm not entirely certain I want to go all the way up to free trade because that is, well, it's 80% resource to market. So not a huge fan, which means I would have to then reduce that again down the road. But it might be an option. Anyway, let's focus on the war, shall we? And stop the deliberations because we're not getting anywhere. All right, so we currently only have the 2 mountain divisions engaged. We should be, the terrain and at least, we do actually have air support, and we seem to have air superiority, so that's good. So the problem is that they just keep reinforcing. There's too many divisions here that we can't get them kicked out. So I'm going to try and get a continuous pressure onto them and see if we can manage to eventually get enough out that we can break through here. We do have one division in reserve, but of course with a fight like this, and the Germans are going to join in again. A fight like this, we're going to be struggling to reduce them, especially that they have relatively good defense. which is somewhat reduced by the air superiority, but we are fighting in, what are we fighting in? Hills. Yeah, hills not ideal. Okay, we'll see if we manage to get through there. Okay, we have encircled 2 Red Guard divisions, which means that the 3rd and 4th are now are not using the momentum to push towards Kansas City, which I think is kind of the first step, and then we'll continue the push south along the lines towards I think there was another there's another supply hub. So let's secure these 2 supply hubs, and that will be the that'll be the first one. Greece has declared war on Albania. Let's have a quick look at that situation. Albania is part of the Belgrade Pact. Why is Greece declaring war on Albania? Okay, so Greece is no longer part. They used to be. Hang on. They used to be running together, didn't they? Okay, so the Belgrade Pact. Okay, so Greece is now basically declaring war on the Belgrade Pact. We did have a possible of later inviting the Kingdom of Greece. The Serbians, obviously, as the leader of the Belgrade Pact, are socialists. The Albanians are socialists. And the Romanians are not, but well, we'll let them fight that out, to be honest, and see who's left standing afterwards, because that is it's all encirclement of the Ottomans potentially and control of the Mediterranean. So Greece is an important player here, but I do like the Serbians being, or I do like the sort of syndicalist foothold here in the south as just throwing a spanner in the works with any potential Central Powers resurgence. All right, here we are. Okay, now they're encircled. All right, so that was again a loading bug, and these troops are still rather powerful. And the problem here is obviously that they are holding the port of Haifa, which means that they are actually getting supply. But we'll manage to get the other ones sorted out, and that means we can probably focus on here. But I do have to keep an eye on the Sicilian situation, where we are getting counterattacked. So I think we'll focus on defense for now, and see if any of the problem, obviously, see that we quickly wrap up the defense and then renew the assault on enemy positions there. The Germans are holding it in the meantime, and we are just going to hold the positions. All right, was that? No, that's not the. Wasn't that the Sakhalin? Isn't that 30 days off still? Okay, so let's see what's happening here. So that's over here. Japanese presence in North Sakhalin is based on 2 treaties. Treaty of Portsmouth of 1905 and the Russo-Japanese Agreement of 1921. The latter, negotiated by Vasily Boldyrev, then attaché to Japan, agreed on Japanese withdrawal from North Sakhalin and other occupied territories, and them withdrawing support from Siberian rebel Atmans Semyonov and Kalmykov. In exchange, Japanese the Zaibatsus, so the Japanese, the oligarchs basically, operating in Russia would be allowed to conduct business freely. What had for a moment seemed like potential military clash between Japan and resurgent Russia in 1921 was successfully de-escalated. Kita Karafuto Seikyo Kabushi Gaisha, North Sakhalin Joint Stock Company, continued management of oil fields in Oka and Katangil, which brought both. How much oil is there actually? Where are we? Resource 7 oil, but Japan gets that basically. Where was I? Development of northern part of the island. It was also clear that the company prioritized Japanese strategic interests over Russian ones, and there was even discussion on nationalization already in 1928 in aftermath of the Fengtian conflict. But now Russia has abandoned any semblance of respecting their treaties and have gone ahead with the nationalization plans. So we get, why is this happening now? Isn't that, it's supposed to happen here, but this happened by itself. Okay, I get 15 political power out of it. I am not complaining. And we get the oil, which is good. We actually full on oil, which isn't great, because that means, do I have all of the naval forces on training? I don't. So Let's get, oh no, they're just repairing. All right, let's get, these also need to just continuously train. And we've got a few more. So we do need to, I will organize the Navy off screen because I don't want you to see me moving ships around. Not really a major focus on the whole end of things. And we currently have a pitiful few air wings, but they can actually all just run some pilot exercises to bring them up to speed. But yeah, we've got not much, all in all, in the air. Okay, so that was an interesting development. Here we are making progress in Amman, but Haifa looks like it's going to be trouble. So do we get some additional? Okay, we're actually attacking across the river here. That's less than ideal. You know what? I am going to focus the assault on the north. All right, and see if we can manage to get some Egyptians to actually join in rather than running away and letting them break up. There they go. Okay, so they are joining in, which means we're joining in from the north now, and the other division, once it's arrived, will do the same. All right, that brings us back to the PSA, where we've got the 4th and 5th actually. Sorry, I think, no, it's these two. Yeah, 4th and 5th actually are the ones pushing south. So we are pitted against Wisconsin Continentals. I think this is mostly just militia here. So we've got these. Yeah, this is militia. That's regulars, but no heavy arms. Same here. Okay, so I think we can probably manage to break through towards Kansas City here. And then once we've secured the supply, then the only supply is St. Louis, and then we'll work our way from Kansas north to cut off a few divisions again, things like that. So that's the operation going on there. Quick look at China. China is this defense. I think the dug-in mountaineers here should be doing a reasonable job of dealing damage to the Japanese. But Sicily is the other problematic conflict. So let's again throw two divisions into the fray here and see if we can manage to evict some of these defenders. The problem is obviously currently it's the Germans. We're just in reserve, but the Germans have already again abandoned the attempts at crossing the river. We could try to push north, but I would really love to get these divisions across the line here if possible. Hard fought. Anyway, what's going on in Moscow in winter? The doctrine of the Tsar Redeemer. Since the 1920s, calls have been made to canonize Tsar Nikolai II and his murdered family as holy martyrs. It was the cardinal sin of the entire Russian people to turn on their Tsar and slay him. Some have argued and demanded amends to be made by all of Russia. All this has been given strength to the movement of the Tsar Redeemer, or heresy of the imperial redemption, as it is called. Has some Warhammer 40k sound to it, as it is called by its critics, which seeks to put the late Tsar into a holy sacred position, even capable of redeeming sins. This obviously Eastern Orthodox. I don't know too much about the Orthodoxy, but and since they schismed from Catholicism, I'm assuming they have the same principle of beatification and sanctification and then intercession. A commonly cited proof for this is the writings of the 18th century monk Abel, who's been claimed to have prophesied many important events in Russian history correctly. Of Nikolai II, he prophesied, "He will have the mind of Christ, long-suffering, and the purity of a dove. He will replace the royal crown with a crown of thorns. There will be war, a great war, a world war. Through the air, people like birds will fly. Under water, like fish, they will swim." Okay, that's some Nostradamus level of stuff here. "And they will begin to exterminate each other with fetid grey." He probably means biological weapons or chemical weapons, maybe. "On the eve of victory, the royal throne will collapse. Brother will rise against brother. The godless power will scour the Russian land." The idea of Nikolai II as an almost messiah-like figure, a sacrifice for Russia's many sins, has risen again and seems ever more attractive to the faithful, seeking some meaning to the civil war. Less fervent proponents of the movement are merely calling for sainthood and the building of a new church in Yekaterinburg, where the Tsar and his family died, to become a site of pilgrimage for all Russian faithful. Okay, let's see. We can get... okay, so what's the outcome of this? I'm more on the latter part here personally, because it sounds less... I don't think religious fervor of that kind is necessarily good for a liberal democratic country. But let's see what we can do. So this would annoy the left and increase the popularity of social conservatism. The social conservatives are really not... I don't even know. There they are. 7.65%, okay? Or we could just lose political power. Great. No. Yeah. I really need the political power. I can't lose 35 political power for this. I would prefer not to do this, but I can't push back against this. So I'm gonna pretend that it's the latter. Well, it's kind of nice, right? No, we'll do it. Left-wing anger rises up, and it gets a little dip in party popularity, but I just really can't keep spending political power on these things. All right, we'll do that. Cost us, I think, 3% party popularity. We'll get it back. But all right, there we go. You are now the son of a saint. And okay, where are we militarily after this slight digression? We're doing all right here. Okay, we've almost got them reduced. Yep, and the tank attack in the south. Yeah, they can't break the armor of the BTs. So the regular BTs are still effective. BT7s are still effective against the regular militia troops, but other than that, not so much. All right, here we're waiting for more troops to come in, but I have my doubts that we can actually manage to break this line. The problem in the north is, and it's really difficult to see. So. We can't reach the port of Ancona directly. We would have to break through. This mountain province here and then sweep. That assault is going to be very, very difficult because there are three, four. Yeah, there's a lot of firepower concentrated there. If we're not getting anywhere here, in the end, what we could do is move to the other side and try to. We'll keep trying to dig them out from their position here, and see if we can make some headway. But if that proves to be not feasible, then we will see if we can do something else. All right. In the States, okay, I think we are. Yeah, we've got all 3 tank divisions now engaged. And against us, just stand a few Red Guard divisions. It's open plains, so I don't think they have any chance of doing that. Back to Sicily, where we are actually making progress now. Okay, this is starting to look good. Yeah, we've got 5 divisions all in all engaged, including both of our mountain divisions. And they have trouble with reinforcing there. So despite the fact that these 2 are relatively well dug in, and we do have to keep a bit of an eye on the Egyptian situation, however. Okay, here we are once again struggling to defeat these encircled and starved divisions. I am going to assign the 68th for now here and let them recover a little bit. And in the east, I think it's become more or less of a static position here, but they're not yet complete. They're not yet done with planning. So we'll fully plan the assault onto Baghdad and then see if the 3 Guards divisions can make progress there. All right, back to the PSA, where I think now we're good here. Sicily. Let's keep an eye on Sicily and see if we need to engage the 60th mountain as well. But the Alash autonomy has to be decided on now. With the end of the Kazakh rebellion, calls have been made to more thoroughly examine the Alash autonomy. What exactly went wrong with it? The autonomy had its own parliament, government, and security forces, everything dominated by the Alash party as dominant party democracy. The unwritten agreement between the Alash party and Moscow was that they keep the steppe in line and they can do as they wish. But this system failed to counter separatist agitation and the rebellion. Defenders of the Alash argue that this is ultimately Moscow's fault. We are responsible for maintaining state security, and even if Alash had its own internal security force, it was ultimately the failure of the Kremlin that the rebellious mood boiled over in Semirechye. Yeah, sure, blame it on the central government when you have full autonomy to run things as you please. Most seem to agree that maintaining the Alash autonomy, albeit reformed, is still a good idea, and that there is no realistic chance of a new uprising. And those arguing for total abolition tend to be either hardcore nationalists who oppose all federalism on principle, or reformists who believe that modernizing the archaic social structures of Central Asia can only be done from the top down by the paternal guidance of the Russians. So we can either go the route of maintaining the semi-autonomy, which is going to cost us factories, but restore sort of the local Cossack hosts and things, or we can abolish the whole thing entirely for 100 political power. Yeah, that's not happening. And it's a sister party of the Cadets. No, we're going with the restoring of a somewhat autonomous state, which is going to cost us max factories, but gets us compliance and some local supplies, and for that we get core on these parts. So that's good, and Alashkala as well, and Karagranda is now as well core of the Russian Empire. Perfect. Beautiful. So that's done. We could still at some point reform the Cossack hosts, but we are 25 days away from the next stranglehold of German capital decision. All right. Let's see what's the situation in Italy. I think we're making progress in Italy, actually, surprisingly. So. We still have one division in reserve that we can throw in, but I think we may be able to dislodge them here after all this time, unless they bring in significant reinforcements. In the States, okay, we'll keep it focused on Sicily for now, because I want to see if I need to throw in the 60th. All right, but more things happening at home. There are two commemorative days for the Civil War, the 31st of August, celebrating liberation of Moscow, and the 22nd of February, remembering the start of the Kuban Ice March. The Day of Liberation is a happy celebration, with upbeat military marching songs and grand displays of strength through Moscow, but the Day of the Ice March is more melancholic, remembering sacrifice and hope. Oh, that explains the... there is a national focus... Yeah, the American Ice March, so that's basically the equivalent then for them. In the frosty February cold, a commemorative march is organized from Rostov to Novocherkassk, including the legendary colored regiments, the black and red Kornilovites, Drozdovites, and the Crimson Caps, black-strapped Markovites and Alexeyevites in white and blue. Those who took part in the original march are the guests of honor, both in Rostov and Novocherkassk. There are great crowds following the march, though it is not a jubilee but a solemn occasion. The official history of the Ice March, written by General Denikin, is often quoted on the day. As long as there is life, as long as there is strength, not everything is lost. Russia will see a light flickering faintly. She will hear a voice calling for the fight, those who have not yet woken up. This was the whole deep meaning of the first Kuban campaign. There is no point in approaching it with the cold argumentation of politics and strategy, as it is a phenomenon in which everything is in the realm of the spiritual, and the feat being accomplished. The volunteer army walked across the free steppes of the Don in Kuban, small in number, tattered, hunted, surrounded, as a symbol for the persecuted Russia and Russian statehood. In the entire vast expanse of the country, there was only one place left where the tricolor national flag openly fluttered, and this was Kornilov's headquarters. This gives us 2% base war support. This reminds me of This reminds me of a book I've recently read about Stalingrad from a perspective of a sociologist who was more looking at who was actually conducting interviews with Russia, because most of the English literature on Russia was based on Soviet Union propaganda as primary sources. So a lot of the stuff is kind of looking at it wrong. But he was actually conducting interviews with people who were either survivors still, or who were keeping the memory of survivors of the Stalingrad battle. And he pointed out as the main factor that even the people who were there didn't know how they did it. Because if you look at the numbers, they shouldn't have been able to resist the initial onslaught, but somehow they managed by sheer power of will and tenacity to halt the German advance in Stalingrad and stabilize the side of the Volga. And it sort of reminds me of that. I'll put a picture up for the book. I can recommend that on the English language on the Soviet Union sort of line of things. All right, that out of the way, we are actually at 100% stability, probably due to the party popularity as well, which is good. 100% stability is where we want to be. We've got high war support, and we are 25 days still away from the autarky law, which means here we are pushing through. We'll just have to see if we can cross the river towards Kansas City, or if there are any established defenses in the south. Sicilian troops are making advances here, actually, so let's keep an eye on the battle, as this is one of the key moments. So the 60th is holding off counterattacks from the north, and we've got the 64th and the 34th working together with German forces from across the river to bring all possible firepower to bear in the east here, and to finally conduct the river crossing and then open up the front lines towards Ancona. The table of ranks. Oh, I know this. One of the most important social elevators in the Russian Empire did not die with the empire. I've actually looked at this because, sorry, it's a lot of meta commentary today. I actually looked at this before I started the campaign to see what the correct way to address certain people in the imperial system was. There's actually a lot of things in there. A very hierarchical list of ranks in both clergy and in the nobility and civilian ranks. So that was very, very interesting to read through the original document there, albeit the English translation of it, because I can't read it in Russian yet. The mechanism that allowed commoners to become nobles for their service in merit through advancement through the government or military career ladder was one of the most progressive institutions in Russia at the time. This allowed people like Lenin, Kornilov, Guchkov, and Denikin to become nobles as a result of their ancestors' service. Restored in the new iteration after the February Revolution in the Russian Republic, the new table of governmental ranks served not as an instrument for ennoblement, but for interdepartmental relations and fair payment and pensions for government officials. One of the respected members of the VPP, former Imperial Duma's deputy chairman Vladimir Volkonsky, recently proposed reforming the table of ranks. According to his proposal, each rank in the system should give personal ennoblement to a government official with a form of address depending on the rank. Yeah, this is what it's all about, like you're well-born, you're high, well-born, these sort of things. Personal ennoblement to the official's wife to maintain gender equality, and also given hereditary ennoblement to the highest ranks. The issue of pensions for nobles in the proposal was immediately rejected after the first hearing. Yeah, the title's all good as long as we don't have to pay for it. The Duma was quickly divided on the issue. The left wing declared that Volkonsky had finally fallen under the influence of his former superior, Protopopov, and mockingly suggested that he guarantee the absence of mind-listening devices in the offices for those above 3-class ranks. The majority of the Duma, although rejecting the idea of hereditary nobility, supported the idea of personal ennoblement of government officials starting from 6-class ranks and the establishment of an appropriate form of addressing to government officials depending on the rank. After heated debates today, the Duma decided to... Okay, let's see. That's going to annoy one of the side or the other, isn't it? Where are we now? So we've got one left-wing anger. Actually, it's better to look at it here. We've got two left-wing angle actually, and we're at one on the right wing. So we could shoot this down, or we could accept a limited variant. Okay. I don't actually particularly mind that. I think 1% stability is fine. 3% market liberals. I think this is a good system actually. It sort of reinforces it's an additional incentive that is not monetary for government officials, and but it doesn't necessarily prioritize. It breaks the sort of hereditary nobility idea of people getting posts in government due to their birthright, which is of course nonsense because you should be hired due to qualification. But it gives them, it keeps a sort of conservative traditionalist flavor to the whole thing and anchors it in tradition. But at the same time, it's also a non-monetary achievement, and it's not hereditary, so the children don't get it automatically. Yeah, I'm actually happy with this. So let's take it. All right, where was I? It keeps interrupting me today, the game does. Why are we... Okay, let's see. So the third mechanized has been beaten back, but the fourth and fifth are continuing the push south to retake Kansas City. And that is something, yeah, we're going to have to get across there. But let's have a quick look. Let's have a quick look what the rest looks like. They're holding Milwaukee, but then it looks like they might be breaking through there. And the problem is one of supply here, because we are obviously running at the edge of our supply network. So taking Kansas is kind of important. This triangle here has caused me all kinds of grief, and obviously we're crossing a river, which is less than ideal. But we are up against only red guards, so it's pure infantry, which we should be able to deal with. The problem is obviously these guys are going to eventually retreat here and make their way across the river to reinforce Kansas City. But we also have a fair amount of Union State troops pushing in from the other side. So for now, we will continue this and see if we can manage to break through towards Kansas. Which brings us to Sicily, where we do need to keep a very close eye on the situation. We have defended in the north, which means we do still have the 60th available to throw in the fray, but we're already covering the whole front, and we've got 3 divisions in reserve, so I think that's all right. There are only 3 divisions remaining at this point. They will be bringing back divisions that have been evicted, but it's a question of just can we get enough firepower on target here they're down to 2 divisions, so the 60th is holding. And the question is, can we dig them out before they can reinforce? Now they've brought in fresh divisions, and of course they've immediately reinforced. That's the problem. We haven't managed to dig them out quickly enough, despite the vast firepower of the 34th and the 64th. We haven't managed to dig them out quickly enough that they are beginning to reinforce the lines and bringing in fresh divisions like the 11th here. So while we keep pushing them back, they keep bringing back fresh troops from the north, and we can't really stop that, I think. We may be able to. All right. They have sufficient reinforcements now. I think what we'll do here is we'll stop the assault for now. We'll get the troops to kind of restore their organization first. And then we'll see if we can get into a state where we can use one of the divisions to pin the enemy in the north, but that's a lot of troops, right? That's not going to last for very long, while supporting the assault with the rest of them. All right, back to the PSA, where we now can focus our attention. But we have we finished the air facility. Oh, great! That's amazing. Let's have a quick look at the experimental facilities. Yes, the Nizhny Novgorod Aerodynamics and Avionics facility, which is over here, and we can now. We're waiting for the second breakthrough on land warfare, but we can now assign a scientist. Who do we have? We have Sikorsky himself, who is obviously a helicopter expert. He's a gifted engineer. We've got Georgy Langemak, He's a rocket specialist. We've got Isayev, who is a jet specialist, and Kotelnikov, who's an electronics specialist. So I think, let's see what kind of projects are actually happening. So we can get the project Vertolyot for helicopters. This is new to me. Or the Rus program for radar, which I think we can bypass. We can bypass the radar one with using the Rus system here. Which is just going to complete the special project, but we don't really have. So we could do something else, but what do we need helicopters for? So that's, I think that was one of the, what is this? Helicopter recon company, helicopter medevac. That might actually be interesting. Let's see. So what's the advantage of helicopter medevac over regular medevac? This is, I don't see the advantage. Am I blind? What am I missing? It's actually worse. It uses more supply. Okay, it provides an extra 5% trickle back, but less. So it brings more people home, but it's less experience loss. So no, that's actually not great. I'm not in favor of that. What else did we have? We've got regular recon versus helicopter recon. So that's giving us two points of recon. And that would be equivalent to, I think, light armored recon. Yeah. But it would also require... it requires to build helicopters. It's how the movement bonuses on this compared to the other ones. So usually, as compared to the regular cavalry recon, that's actually pretty decent. So helicopter recon would be quite a bit better. But the problem I see is, how does this stack with the upgrades? Because here, okay, so helicopter gets 100%, these get 200% recon upgrade. Helicopter, okay. Both get, all right, not sure how this works. And here also, this seems to be the same. Not seeing the immediate benefit on that. How's the medevac trickleback change here? So this is experience loss -10. Experience loss -8 trickleback. So this is more into trickleback war support rather than the experience loss. And they get 5% recovery rate. I mean, we might as well try it. So especially get that the other project is going to be done via thing anyway. So who do we want down the road here? What other projects are we having? And sorry, this episode is distracting me a lot. Bouncing bombs, air shaker bombs, mothership aircraft. That sounds amazing. But this is all very much down in the missile-based things, very much down in the doldrums. But this actually needs 2 breakthrough points on aviation. We don't even have 1 yet. So who do we assign? Sikorsky for the helicopter. This would be research bonus 2%. This would be research scientist XP gain and special project speed. It would be rocket. This would just be jets, and this would be radar special project speed. He's got the most skill, but I think I'm gonna put Sikorsky in, and maybe we'll try the helicopter project if things actually happened. All right. So that said, we've made an awful lot of progress here. Okay, we have retaken Haifa by the looks of it, so that's good. And our troops are already making their way here. So we can now get all these divisions joined in eradicating the last encirclement. Have they finished their planning? Not quite yet. So still planning the assault on Baghdad. Then we'll probably have to sweep south because there are a few troops here that have been cut off, and we'll work on rescuing the Syrian troops here. We are getting pushed back by the Ottomans from the desert. And then we'll see if we manage to move north and secure Aleppo, probably, as the next operational goal. Here we are still holding the line, and here we are trying to push our way across the bridges. So let's okay, the Sicilians are just going to dig in for now, so let's follow the American situation, where we are hard-pressed trying to get across. We've got the first Oregon National Guard coming in as well now, but obviously the problem being that this is a river crossing, which is less than ideal. So I was hoping to use momentum to get across. We've got the we'll shorten the front lines, and we can still throw the third mechanized in here because they have access, I think. Actually, is that? Oh, that's all one state. Okay, never mind that. We'll bring the third mechanized in as well and see if they can. Actually, there might be an opportunity. No, there might be an opportunity here to take the northern approaches of Jefferson City. Not that it would gain us much, but I'll see if I can get the third mechanized across there. Now they're getting counterattacked. In that case, we'll just hold here on the counterattack. And are we in multiple combat? No, we're just literally trying to push our way across the river. And we are low on fuel, so we'll use the third mechanized as okay. They've established that. We'll use the third mechanized as reserve, and see if we can once one of the others gets too exhausted, we'll see if we can throw them in. Sicilian volunteers, okay. I think they still need to regain a bit of their organization here, and then we will. They are, however, attacking now in the north. But what I'm planning to do is let these regain their organization, and then launch another assault eastwards with 2 divisions, and use one to keep. Depending on where they're retreating, use one to try and keep the reinforcements at bay, if that's something we can do. All right, Egyptian volunteers here. We're just cleaning up, and Persians are still. Oh, the Persians are completely planned, almost. Yeah, almost completely planned. All right, so let's focus on the states. Okay, so this attack is faltering, but maybe we can manage once we get the third mechanized out of the defense, which is currently being counterattacked by a few enemy divisions. I think with the reserves we should be able to manage to push this. So let's see. Sicilian situation, troops are almost recovered. But they've got 10 divisions standing here now. That is actually less than ideal. So let's give them some time still. Egypt, we are wrapping up, and Persia, we are at max planning. So now we'll launch the attack on Baghdad and see if the planning will get us through. So the biggest problem is the terrain, but the planning bonus hopefully gives us enough. Gives us enough to compensate for that, and we might try to dig out these two Ottoman divisions there and see if we can make our way through. In the States, we're still defending against the counterattack, but I think their defense is starting to break. That's great. Sicilian volunteers are on the defense right now, so we'll ignore that. And the Egyptian volunteers not yet done, and Persian volunteers are making progress. So this looks like we may be able to dig them out of there. The firepower we have is somewhat reduced, but due to the city fighting, so that's a hard fight. And in the Sicilian position, we are once again ready. Given that this is now 11 divisions standing there, I think what we'll do instead is see if we can manage to push north. With fire support, can we break this in the north? We got only 2 divisions available, but this is going to be a very hard fight. But we'll see if we can manage to break out north and then get into Ancona from behind. That would be a potential option. Australasia and okay, have they made peace in India? Okay, it looks like the Deccan Federation in the south is making their way through. So let's see if this works. and we can break out north. This is not yet done, this is not yet done, and here we are still fighting as well. Let's see if we can break out north, but I think the tank divisions are making their way through and are about to take, and the two Sicilies cancelled the sale again, are about to take Kansas City. So that would be, I think, yeah, there with the support of Union troops, we have taken Kansas City. But what happens in Australasia? Oh, that's why they made peace. Syndicalists have taken over Australasia. The recent election in the Australasian Confederation saw victory for the Labour Party led by John Curtin. But within days after his victory, radical elements within the Labour Party rose up and took control. These radicals are loyal to the Australasian Council of Trade Unions, the ACTU, being the most prominent syndicalist faction in the Antipodes, and hiding since the Melbourne Commune uprising in 1924 and the subsequent suppression of unions by Governor-General William Birdwood's government. The coup has left the nation in shock, with syndicalist loyalists already taking to the streets across Australasia to prevent demonstrations and outbreaks of violence. This is alarming indeed, because these guys might actually, syndicalism is spreading. So have we opened this with our support for the Third International? Have we opened a Pandora's box that we will later on be hard pressed to contain? That is an interesting question. But we have managed to take Kansas City, and I think we will need to consolidate here for now. So we'll concentrate along Kansas City. Do we have railway connections? How's the supply network here? Okay, this is actually not connected, which is unfortunate. But we seem to have supply. What's the fuel situation? That's fuel is good. So we have local supply from the supply positions in Kansas City at least. So the next operation will be to concentrate first to let the 3rd and 4th rest and recover after the hard fight of taking the bridge. Then we'll push south, take the other supply position, and then we'll sweep east towards St. Louis. How is the rest of the lines looking? They've further moved south, and they're beginning to threaten to cut through. I think overall, I haven't paid a close attention to it, but it looks like they're also making progress in the east against the American Union. We have lost Milwaukee, and they're about to reconnect in the north, which means our supply situation. Milwaukee was a vital supply hub. This actually means after we've taken the supply position here, we may actually have to relocate north and once again clear out the positions there, because we need to hold Milwaukee in order to threaten Chicago, and the friendly lines are looking increasingly dire here. In fact, we may actually just have to hold Kansas for now. This is unfortunate that we can't use that, but okay, we'll relocate. We have to deal with the northern flank because the northern flank is burning. So we'll actually make a where's the next supply hub here? There is Milwaukee. We need Milwaukee back. Unfortunately, we now have no supply here to actually make a push towards Milwaukee. So because the supply out of Minneapolis isn't going to reach us, and there is no other supply hub in the region. So anything. This is more than vexing that the friendly troops have, through just stupid maneuvers, have lost so much ground. How's the air situation? We're completely red air over the Midwest as well, so we're fighting under red air here too. Milwaukee is key. So what we'll try is we'll take what fuel we can, fuel and ammunition, but we'll not linger. But we will try to retake Milwaukee. We'll relocate north. Hopefully the militia can hold Kansas City in combination with the Union. We'll relocate north and try to retake Milwaukee, and then probably we may have to actually swing north and clean out the enemy positions there, because there's a fair few troops tied up in that. But yeah, we're firefighting. And so this war is far from over. We still haven't regained the strategic momentum, really. And we haven't regained the initiative against the syndicates. We're actually on the back foot still. How are these guys in terms of, unfortunately I can't see, how are they in terms of equipment? Strength 88%, these are good. They might be, they seem to be all right in terms of equipment. It's really just this. The mismanagement of troops on the ground really is the problem, I think. But we can try, just in case, we can try to send rifles. I'm pretty sure we've got old equipment still laying around. Let's see. Are they? Yeah, we've got some infantry equipment that we don't need. They can have that. This is all foreign equipment that we don't really need, and we have old rifles, actually a fair amount still. So the 1891 rifles, they can have these as well. So let's send them the equipment. Construction wise, we're still making our way through. Production, we're now starting to have some planes that we can start converting as well. We've got full 10 factories committed to aircraft production. We are building the KHT-100 flame tanks, but we're not yet at the self-propelled artillery. And yeah, we're still very short. Do I need 10 on tanks? 10 on trucks? Let's see if we can make do with 5. I'll prioritize the other factors for now. But yeah, many more factories are needed. We're doing okay on rifles, but I'll leave it at 15 because we're not in a full-on war, and we do need to build up a stockpile, especially of infantry equipment, given how infantry heavy the army currently is. And we are gonna add a few more divisions on training. At some point, we're going to have to start seriously dealing with the divisions. It's already March, and not much has changed. Then the next thing really, the Wrangel line needs to finish. We'll need to get off the volunteer conscription, and we need to start working on the infrastructure around. I might actually reduce the infrastructure projects. No, actually, because they improve also our construction speed of things. So that's an investment that we'll take. Okay, so wars are still on knife's edge. We're trying to make a break in Sicily, but it's hard going. So very much a stalemate in Sicily. The Union State, the American Civil War is still at the knife's edge. The Chinese war has completely ground to a halt. So everyone's sort of digging into positional warfare at this point around the world. And yeah, we're waiting. We're preparing for the grand change and for the Second Weltkrieg, really. And by the looks of it, these guys have been building up fortifications as well. So getting the lines here in order is going to be rather critical, especially this part. This salient, the Vitebsk position, as well as the Ukrainian positions in the south, because they are building up fortifications as well. So big guns are going to be important, big artillery, railway artillery, which we haven't built yet, and many other things. So many more problems to solve. And definitely not an easy walk in the park.